For 5,000 years, this land, Egypt, and the epic civilization it gave birth to has been shaped by one thing more than any other. This awesome river, the River Nile.
The Nile helped temples to rise, pharaohs to rule, and pyramids to be built. Without the Nile, there'd have been no ancient Egypt. So I'm making the historical journey of a lifetime. A 900-mile adventure along the Nile, across the whole of Egypt. I'll explore Egypt's greatest achievements.
It is truly wonderful, isn't it?
And find treasures hidden for thousands of years.
Oh my God, that's a sheer drop down there.
This is my chance to travel this fabulous land.
Oh, lovely.
And experience it as the ancient Egyptians did, from the River Nile.
From pharaohs to slaves, from facts to fantasies. I want to explore firsthand and to understand how this river shaped one of the world's first and greatest civilizations.
Join me as I uncover 5,000 years of history along the River Nile. So far, on my journey up the Nile, I've explored many of the treasures that helped to create ancient Egypt. And now, as the river gets busier, I'm coming to one incredible stretch that reveals a huge amount about the Egyptians' obsession with life and death.
This river gave rise to one of the most captivating civilizations in the world, and a jewel in the crown is where I'm heading now, Luxor. 300 miles south of Cairo, on the east bank of the Nile, is a famous city full of ancient wonders. I love visiting Luxor, and I'm certainly not alone. This is a stretch of the river that's welcomed everyone from Tutankhamun to Winston Churchill, from Cleopatra to Agatha Christie.
It was travellers from the Victorian age who helped to make Luxor super fashionable. Here, they could swap the British winter for 30-degree temperatures and 5,000 years of culture. But it didn't come cheap. The trip from Cairo to Luxor cost an eye-watering £12,000 in today's money. But to one Victorian traveller, that was small change.
Queen Victoria's son, the Prince of Wales, the future Edward VII, came to the Nile, and he so loved it, he came back twice. Now, he travelled in quite some style. He had 6 steamships decorated with friezes of Antony and Cleopatra, and behind them he had a barge carrying 4,000 bottles of claret and 3,000 bottles of champagne, plus what every good dahabeeyah needs, a donkey.
Donkeys were used to fetch supplies from the banks. But it seems today, the Nile has brought the shopping to us.
Oh, hello. Oh, hi. I'm sure special price.
These very enterprising boys, yeah, that's beautiful, have hooked on to try and sell me a dress and a tablecloth. Shall I come down?
Come on, be quick.
Okay. Hey. Oh my gosh. English, yes. Very good. It's a lovely towel. I would get one. I've already got one at home. Nefertiti. That's Nefertiti. That's actually quite nice. I'm going to buy that one. I'm going to buy it actually. I'm sure my husband would love that. He'd look very nice in it. Show me the one for my husband again. Wait, no. Oh my God. Thank you. That is my years of cricket practice with my brother in the garden.
Now I think I've got to buy it. Okay. Oh my God. Oh, okay.
And here on the Nile, there's even contactless payment. I've got to throw the money back in a plastic bag.
1, 2, 3. Look, thank you. Isn't it great that everybody sees as an opportunity? And actually, I think it's huge.
Luxor is the #1 tourist destination on the Nile, with spectacular temples and tombs scattered across either side of the river. There's tons to see here, so the crew are going to moor up for a couple of days. Because I want to see what these spectacular sights can tell us about the Egyptian experience of life and death. After difficult times in Egypt, it's brilliant to see so many tourists flooding back to the city here on the East Bank. But I'm crossing straight to Luxor's famous West Bank. It's only a short hop across the river, but for the ancient Egyptians, this was a highly symbolic journey.
I'm moving from the East Bank, the land of the living, to the West Bank, where the sun sets and where the ancient Egyptians buried their secrets, the land of the dead, which of course ironically means that in terms of stories and archaeological discovery, it is very much alive.
3 miles inland from the river is a place that's very close to my heart, the legendary Valley of the Kings. It was the fabulous treasures hidden beneath these barren slopes that first sparked my interest in history, way back when I was 5. And one discovery here sits above all others. It was made by 2 Brits, archaeologist Howard Carter and wealthy aristocrat Lord Carnarvon.
Carnarvon and Carter had actually worked together for 15 years before they discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun. Carnarvon was really passionate about what he did in Egypt. He loved being here. He learnt some Arabic, the locals called him Lordy, and he wrote that he drank thick black Turkish coffee every morning. But he also poured money into these excavations. At one point, he was hiring up to 275 boys to do the work. So the 2 of them were really, really serious about trying to find something. And once they did, it was the discovery of the century and captured the imagination of the world.
In the heat and dust, you really get a sense of what it must have been like digging here 100 years ago, as Carter and his team searched for a long-lost tomb. After 5 years of hard work, on the 26th of November 1922, Carter and Carnarvon scrambled down this very passageway.
It's a story that's been told a number of times, but it is always worth the retelling. When Carnarvon and Carter were about to break into the chamber, Carter looked through a tiny hole and describes the glint of gold everywhere. "What can you see?" said Carnarvon, and Carter simply said, "Wonderful things."
Tut's tomb stunned the world, and it's been drawing crowds ever since.
I remember I just went to that Tutankhamun exhibition in in 1972. That was one at the British Museum. And that's what got me into history. So it's really lovely to see.
But the truth is, Tut's tomb isn't actually that remarkable. It's surprisingly small for a pharaoh, and the decoration looks a bit rushed, even in some places a bit second-rate.
I'm saying it's so much smaller than obviously the bigger tombs. We've just been in Ramesses III.
Yes.
And obviously it goes down and down and down and down, and you go into this, and it's just compact.
Yeah.
But I guess was it because it was a rushed burial?
Exactly, yeah.
It's now believed that Tut was buried in a tomb originally prepared for someone else. Perhaps Tut's own tomb wasn't ready. That would make sense because we know he died when he was just a teenager.
Worth the effort coming in?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely for me.
And the boys?
Boys. Boys, aren't they?
Luckily for those who need a bit more convincing, the Valley of the Kings also boasts the most spectacular tombs in Egypt. And just a few metres away, there is an absolute showstopper. Tutankhamun's tomb is the most famous in the Valley of the Kings. But to my mind, his neighbour's tomb is even more intriguing. It shows us the ancient Egyptians at their most brilliant and badly behaved.
Just around the corner from Tut's tomb, because of course this is a whole city of the dead, so there are burials everywhere. There is a real showstopper tomb. If you want to get a sense of what a burial is like when a pharaoh has pulled out all of the stops, then you should come here to KV9, although actually hardly anybody visits it.
KV9 stands for King's Valley Number 9, a pretty unassuming name for an absolutely jaw-dropping site. It's 5 times the size of Tut's and instantly more impressive.
So this is what a royal tomb really should look like. It stretches over 100 metres deep into the rock. The walls are covered with images and ideas and stories that are supposed to guarantee the successful journey of the pharaoh through the underworld and on into the afterlife.
Several images show that journey being made on a flat-bottomed Nile boat. KV9 is, for me, the high point of over 1,000 years' worth of Egyptian tomb building. The 3,000-year-old decoration looks as though it was painted yesterday. But look a bit closer and you'll see something that shouldn't be there. Graffiti in Latin and Greek. Some of it dates back at least 2,000 years. People have been coming here for centuries, some just to visit, but others to loot.
Tombs like these were protected with curses. May death come on wings to he who enters the tomb of the pharaoh. But there were some who clearly took no heed of that warning here. Within just 20 years, the tomb was robbed. This massive stone sarcophagus was smashed, and the mummy inside was desecrated with an axe, and all the treasure was stolen.
The world's most famous cemetery is also a crime scene.
all the tombs discovered here in the valley so far have turned out to be robbed. But the truth is, this isn't just random looters. Quite often it's the men who built the tombs themselves, or it was an officially sanctioned robbery, so it's one pharaoh getting their own back on another. This was a pretty risky business, though. In ancient Egypt, the death penalty wasn't actually used that much, but you could be killed for robbing a tomb. And the manner of death was pretty horrific. You are either impaled or burnt alive.
It wasn't just the rich who were fascinated by both life and death. Almost 2 miles across the hills from the Valley of the Kings is a remarkable and very different site. Deir el-Medina, a village that was home to the workers who built the pharaoh's tombs. It contains extraordinary evidence that, for me, brings these ordinary people to life. It's a 40-minute walk from the Valley of the Kings. So I'm now treading in the footsteps of the ancient Egyptians who made this punishing journey to and from work every few days.
And we're now walking up the main street of the village. You can see that the houses are so close together.
Yeah.
Egyptologist Yasmin El-Shazli has spent 15 years studying this unique community.
People are normally very interested in the kings, but I think the average Egyptian was much more interesting.
Yeah.
Because normally royal art and architecture are full of propaganda. So that's not who they really were. But this is the real thing.
And more than just mere builders, Deir el-Medina was home to craftsmen and women.
You had a community full of, talent. You have the best artists, the best scribes, the best craftsmen. So it's very special.
So it means that we haven't just got a village of people, but of articulate people, of people who are kind of used to expressing themselves.
Yes, exactly.
And luckily for us, they expressed themselves on something that survived for 3,500 years. And against all the odds.
North of the temple over here was a pit that was probably dug to be a well, but it ended up being a dump. Inside the pit, archaeologists found thousands of ostraca. Ostraca are chips of limestone that the workmen used to write on. So imagine someone going through your garbage, how much information they would get.
Unfortunately, yes.
About your daily life. We found legal documents, letters to the living and letters to the dead, love songs, even the attendance of the workmen and the reasons why they were absent from work.
And why were they absent?
Sometimes they're celebrating a festival of a certain god.
And could it sometimes be not just because they were celebrating, but because they had a hangover after the celebration?
That's very possible too. They used to drink a lot of beer.
I love the idea of people nursing sore heads here, kind of, just tell them I can't come into work today. It was too much last night.
Very true.
I've been given incredibly privileged access to one place in the village that's only just been opened after years of restoration. It belonged to a man guilty of much more than simply skiving off work.
Oh, amazing. This is brilliant. This is what I was looking for. So this is the tomb of someone called Paneb. I think that's Paneb. And that's almost certainly his wife behind him. And there's Anubis, representing the god of the underworld.
Paneb wasn't royalty, so his tomb is much smaller than the ones in the Valley of the Kings. But even though he wasn't famous, we still know an amazing amount about him thanks to evidence discovered in the village. And the story it tells is shocking.
Paneb stops being an ordinary worker and elevates himself somehow to become a chief workman. Then the plot thickens. One of the labourers accuses Paneb of stealing building material from a royal tomb to construct his new burial place. Not only that, but there are 16 other charges levelled against him, and this is really serious stuff. So he's accused of adultery, of sexual abuse of the women in the village, of falling into kind of drunken rages so that he's incredibly violent, and even of killing someone to cover up his crimes. Now, we don't know what happened in the end to Paneb. But for me, what's so brilliant is that we've still got these intimate details of ordinary Egyptians' lives. Their affairs, their intrigues, the bullying, the social climbing, and the scandal. It's been a long day in the desert. I'm heading back across the river to Luxor's east bank. This is one of the hottest and driest cities in the world, where daytime temperatures can hit 50 degrees. So as the sun sets, the locals come out and Luxor comes alive. The ancient Egyptians used to welcome visitors to celebrate the joy of Ka, to love the spirit of life. And that warm welcome is still definitely on offer. So I was dragged in here by these kids who said there's something going to happen. How brilliant to see that dancing. And actually, when we think of ancient Egypt, we often think of it as something being rather stiff and stagey. But actually, they loved their festivals and their music and their dancing and their beer drinking. Beer was the kind of staple drink, and they had festivals of drunkenness up and down the Nile. So they were the original party people. Where are we going now? Oh, we're off.
It's tempting to burn the candle at both ends, because tomorrow I'm up super early for one of the highlights of my journey, Egypt's most famous temple. With my lovely dahabeah moored up for a few days, I'm exploring the ancient wonders surrounding the city of Luxor. Today, I'm visiting the city's most famous monument. But after a night on the town, there's one stop I have to make first.
Hi, salam. Can I get a coffee?
Coffee.
Sugar. Aswa maput.
Mazboot.
Mazboot.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Shukran. I cannot get through a day without an Egyptian coffee, and it's actually very appropriate that I'm drinking it here because this is one of the first places in recorded history where we know that coffee was drunk in Cairo, actually. Some people think it came from North Africa, some people think coffee came from Yemen, but when it was first spotted, goats ate the coffee beans and they danced around in this wild way, so they noticed it was probably going to be quite a useful stimulant. But as a result, there were sections of society that thought it was the devil's brew. But even if it is a devil's brew, bring it on. Thank you. Oh, lovely. Perfect. Shukran. Thank you. Oh, I can smell he's put cardamom in. That's really lovely. Oh my God, I love that. First caffeine hit of the day. That is heaven in a cup.
Now I'm ready to face the crowds at Egypt's greatest temple.
I'm travelling by road today, but at the time of the ancient Egyptians, I would certainly have been getting from A to B by travelling down one of the waterways. Whoops. A little bit of a bump in the road, because people use the Nile. And it's just really cool because here you've got all kinds of different vehicles on the road, from taxis to tuk-tuks. And it would have been the same on the ancient waterways. So you had little cargo ships and barges, and then these grand royal processional boats.
In the far north of modern Luxor is the vast temple of Karnak. It's 4,000 years old and still the largest religious complex anywhere in the world.
What really strikes me always is just how rammed with people it would have been in ancient times. So, in fact, all these tourists are completely appropriate. We know that over 80,000 people worked here, so it would have been a riot of colour and sound and smell. You've had the noise of drums and cymbals and the smell of incense and burnt meat, and priests with their shaven heads and hairless bodies abstaining from sex, so they were pure, rushing around to keep the gods on side.
I'm always blown away by this place. Everything about it is so intense and so much larger than life.
When people come here, they always talk about its size and scale, and it was massive. So the whole complex stretched about a mile long and half a mile wide and covered the area of about 168 football pitches.
But today, I'm here to see something that's a lot smaller, but in its own way, as impressive. In ancient times, Karnak Temple would have been bursting with astronomers, mathematicians and scientists, all buzzing with new ideas and inventions. And one of those inventions was this humble-looking bucket.
For the priests, it was really important to perform their rituals at exactly the right time. And of course, during the day, you've got the sun and you can use sundials to measure hours. But what do you do at night? Well, the ancient Egyptians came up with this really clever idea. So what this is a replica of a water clock that was found here at Karnak. And what the priests would do is they'd fill it up with water. As the water dropped down, one notch in the clock, that would measure an hour, so they could tell the time exactly during the night.
The Egyptians followed a 24-hour clock, 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. But the nights grew shorter and longer throughout the year, and this water clock allowed for that, with different measured scales inside for different times of the year.
So let's see if it works. I think they've done it slightly more professionally than me. It's definitely dripping. And I guess we have to wait an hour to see if it can tell the time okay.
Simple but brilliant. And from 1500 BC, these devices would have appeared in temples up and down the Nile. Back on the Nile, there's a Luxor treasure from a very different age.
I've just spotted this boat moored up on the bank. SS Sudan. It was built in the 1920s, and in 1933 it hosted a very special visitor. I'm going to see if I can get on board somehow. Hello. Hi. Can I come on?
Yeah, but please, can you come on the other side?
From the other side?
Please.
Great, thank you. Amazing, thank you very much. Thank you so much for letting me come on, Bettany.
Here, the boat manager.
Oh, so lovely. And is it okay to go?
As I step on board the SS Sudan, I'm following in the footsteps of one of the world's best-selling writers, Agatha Christie.
Oh. That's very kind. Thank you very much. Lovely. I've been on a hot boat. But where? Just show me around, because I've seen this from the outside. It's great.
Yes, this is the original steam machine
Yes.
with which the boat was sailing. Agatha Christie, she was on board.
Yeah. It's not still powered by steam, is it?
It's a steam. And with, yes.
And do people come on board to travel here because of Agatha Christie?
Sure, because of this, the oldest steamer ship
Yes.
on the Nile, and sure, because of Agatha Christie.
Yes.
Agatha Christie isn't just a giant of the literary world. She was a globe-trotting history buff who travelled the Middle East with her archaeologist husband, excavating ancient sites in Iraq and Syria. In 1933, the couple's adventures brought them to Egypt and to the SS Sudan.
It's the royal lounge. Yeah.
Yes, it's got that kind of luxurious feel, hasn't it? I just love it because I can so imagine Agatha and her husband sitting and reading and, you know, enjoying a cocktail or four in the evening.
Agatha was so inspired by her time on the SS Sudan that she wrote a book set on a paddle steamer sailing down the Nile. The result was one of the best-selling murder mysteries of all time. And what else did she call it but Death on the Nile?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, will you hold
Please,
that?
with pleasure.
Just give it a big tug.
Exactly. 3 times.
Okay, 3 times. Bye. Thanks.
It's full steam ahead for the SS Sudan. But for me, there's a humble water taxi waiting. Because I have one last trip to make to Luxor's West Bank. Perched at the foot of the hills, looking back across the Nile, is an awe-inspiring monument. This stunning temple can be busy with tourists, but get here just after dawn and you can have the place to yourself. This was the crowning glory of one of my all-time heroines, the female pharaoh Hatshepsut. A remarkable ruler, and brilliantly, a woman ruling in a man's world.
So here's lovely Hatshepsut. Now the thing is, of course, at first glance, she looks like any other male pharaoh. She's got her king's skirt and even a little pharaonic beard. But we know this is definitely Hatshepsut because that's her name in the cartouche up there. But isn't it fascinating that despite all her progress and pioneering ideas and power, this amazingly potent female pharaoh had to be represented as a man?
In ancient Egypt, men inherited the throne. In fact, there wasn't even a word for queen. So when Hatshepsut found herself in charge after her husband's early death, she realised the only way to rule Egypt was to be better than any king.
You get the sense that she wanted to outdo any man. This temple, for example, was unlike anything that Egypt had ever seen before. Its design was very progressive and internationalist, and this whole complex would have looked completely different. It would have been a riot of colour. There were ponds and lines of incense trees. It's almost as if Hatshepsut was trying to seduce her people with her sophistication.
The temple walls tell us more about this intriguing woman. She sent delegations out across the seas to get incense and ivory and gold from places other Egyptian rulers hadn't managed to reach.
And the point of all of this wasn't to prove what the Egyptians traded in, but that Hatshepsut could make it happen. He seems to be
Archaeologist Dr. Zbigniew Szafranski has arranged for me to see a part of the temple that's usually off limits, and that gives us intimate insight to this remarkable woman's life that goes way beyond the official line.
Hatshepsut was a volcano of ideas in political, military and religious fields. She was really brilliant, I may say.
So do you think she is one of the reasons that ancient Egyptian civilization became so great?
Yes. We know a lot about Cleopatra, for example. But in my opinion, Hatshepsut was really more clever. She was one of the greatest person in the history of the world at the time.
But Hatshepsut had a secret. it seems she had a bit of a soft spot for one of her courtiers.
He seems to be present everywhere.
Yes, yes.
So can you show me where he is here?
Ah, look.
Gosh, yes.
This is Senenmut, not a member of the royal family, and yet beautifully depicted all over the Queen of Egypt's temple.
Because he's just a commoner, and they don't normally get represented in a place as sacred as this. That says something about
Yes,
him.
yes. He was a very gifted person, a very talented person.
Senenmut oversaw the temple's construction and tutored Hatshepsut's daughter. It's long believed that his talents captured the Queen's attention and perhaps even her heart.
Presumably, because the niches were always closed with doors, so that image would have been hidden, wouldn't it?
Yes, yes. The door of the niche was open inside, so nobody knew about his presence inside the holy place.
By hiding him behind closed doors, maybe Hatshepsut was trying to keep her relationship with Senenmut under wraps. But as the most famous woman in Egypt at the time, it can't have been easy keeping a lid on a juicy bit of gossip like this. I've heard there's more evidence of this scandal up in the hills above the temple. It's pretty perilous to access. But archaeologists think this is where the temple builders took their breaks, sheltering from the sun and catching up on all the latest news.
I hope this is worth that scramble up the hill. Ugh, in a skirt. Oh my gosh. This is it. Oh, that is amazing. So, this little scribble on the wall here is close on 3,500 years old. Now, obviously, it shows a man having sex with a woman. But there's something really special to notice here. The woman has got this thick royal wig on, so it's probably showing a queen or Hatshepsut herself. So there are two possibilities here. Either this is feeding off a rumour that Senenmut and Hatshepsut were actually lovers, or it's just a guy having sex with Hatshepsut herself. And this comes from a time where there was a woman who was the most powerful female on earth, doing amazing things. And the guys sitting here in this little cave wanted to remember her like this. 3,500 years on, sometimes it feels like very little has changed.
After 2 busy days and nights in and around Luxor, and some well-earned shore leave for the crew, it's time to set sail and continue my journey.
Sadly, I've got to leave Luxor, but there are lots of discoveries and delights still to come.
I'm heading for Egypt's more remote and enthralling south. I'm leaving the hustle and bustle of Luxor to travel deep into Egypt's beautiful south. It's much quieter here, but we're not entirely alone. Another dahabeah, and flying a Union flag too. If these are Brits, they're continuing the grand tradition of sailing down the Nile that started centuries ago.
I love the fact the crew, they all know each other, so they have a bit of information exchange as they go past.
And just along the bank, there's something else I am determined to pay my respects to. It's not a temple or a tomb, but I think it's the unsung hero of ancient Egypt. The humble donkey.
There's a lovely
guy who was working his fields a moment ago, and he's now bringing us his donkey, I think. Oh my gosh, we're being offered a cow as well. Can I say thanks, Islam? Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, morning. Nice to see you. Hi. Hello. Oh, you're beautiful. Is it a girl or a boy?
The donkey.
It's a donkey, yeah, I know it's a donkey. Oh, he's lovely.
Lovely.
Really lovely.
Yeah.
Very beautiful donkey.
He might look sweet, but he's actually as tough as old boots. Donkeys can pull up to twice their body weight, and even in these temperatures they can go without water for an astonishing 3 days.
But apparently he loves swimming, so we're going to go for a little dip in the Nile instead. Hello, lovely one. There, is that nice, Jamil? Yeah. So at the end of every night, as you go down the Nile, you see people bringing the donkeys and their horses in to give them a cooling bath. It's just such a lovely sight and totally timeless. They definitely did this in ancient Egypt too. We've got pictures of it.
And they deserved a bath. It was donkeys that did huge amounts of hard work in fields and on building sites. It's a bizarre thought. None of the pyramids, the temples, the tombs I've seen on my journey would have existed if it hadn't been for these gentle beasts.
So although this might seem slightly odd, it is in fact completely appropriate that we're treating this random donkey a bit like a pharaoh and giving him his own personal bath in the waters of the Nile, because after all, it was the donkey that built the great civilization of ancient Egypt. Thank you. Thank you. Whoa, very wet shoes. Oh my God, my shoes are too wet. Oh my God.
We're now 35 miles upstream of Luxor, and the captain's just told us that we've got to slow down because we're approaching the Esna barrage. This is one of 6 dams along the Nile in Egypt, used to control the annual floods and in some cases to generate electricity.
The ancient Egyptians also built dams and locks so that they could regulate the flow of the Nile too. So it's a kind of 20th century equivalent of a very ancient practice. And it makes our sailors very unhappy because they say they get rather claustrophobic when they go inside. Okay?
All the traffic on the Nile here has to go through one lock that's not much wider than our boat. But the dam is the gateway to the south. Behind me lie the familiar sights of ancient Egypt, and ahead lies the lesser known and even more intriguing south. But getting there is proving a tight squeeze.
It was slightly more tense than I thought it was going to be because we got a lot closer to the sides and there was a kind of frenetic rope action. But the boys did amazingly and we are through safely and now we are continuing our journey south. Hello, good luck.
Next time, I sail into the beautiful city of Aswan.
Now that is how I like my views.
I'll join the crowds and the rising sun for some ancient Egyptian magic. And as my Nile journey ends, I discover a 3,000-year-old message from a pharaoh.
Amazing, and it's just all appearing right in front of our eyes.
That's all that new next Friday at 9.
Attempting to solve the mystery of a legend, we reveal the secrets behind King Arthur's sacred sites, brand new tomorrow at 7. And tonight, cruising onto your screens, it's the Wakefield Wonder. Jane McDonald, My Life Story, is coming up next.